everyone, and welcome to Radiant Love's Love Talk. My name is Angel D. Thomas, and I am the founder and CEO of Radiant Love, which was established in 2017. Radiant Love exemplifies the power of boldness, beauty, and self-confidence. I just want to encourage everyone to be the best version of themselves. Y'all be bold, y'all be beautiful, y'all be you. So Love Talk is a platform that I created to shine light on kings and queens. Here on Love Talk, I just invite different guests and we just talk about different topics. And my hopes are to uplift, encourage, inspire, relate, agree to disagree. It's just a platform that I created for kings and queens to come and let their radiant lights shine. So again, I just want to encourage everyone to be the best version of themselves. Y'all be bold, y'all be beautiful, y'all be you. So tonight here on Love Talk, we are going to have T. Ray, the violinist. Let's add him on now. Hey!
Hello, how you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
I'm so excited that you're on here. You don't understand.
Oh, appreciate you having me.
Oh, no problem at all. So we're just going to dive right on in. Y'all,
All right.
This is T. Ray, the violinist. If you do not know T. Ray, y'all need to familiarize yourselves with him, his violin, his music, and his face. Yes.
I'm gonna speak all. I'm gonna embrace everything you just said.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So if you really want something in life, then you have to work for it. Everything worth having is worth fighting for. T. Ray knows firsthand the importance of being consistent and never giving up on your dreams. Baton Rouge native T. Ray, the violinist, has been stringing together perfection for what seems to be the foundation of a legendary career. Joining us tonight is Mr. T. Ray, the violinist himself. Welcome to Love Talk.
How y'all doing?
Welcome. So I scrolled up and down your page. Actually, I ran across your page from another Love Talk guest. And when I got to your page, I was just so amazed. And honestly, I had just written another violinist. I don't even know where the guy lived. And then when I ran across you, I'm like, I got to get him on here. So I wrote the guest and I'm like, do you know him? He was like, yeah. So I wrote you and you're here and I'm so, so excited.
Cool,
Yes.
cool. I appreciate you having me this evening. I'm excited.
No problem. So let's just jump right on in. So at the age of 8 is when you first started playing the violin. And in middle school, you then picked up the trumpet, but then you reverted back to the violin because you were inspired by jazz violinist Michael Ward.
Correct.
And I kind of read up on Mr. Ward, and it said that his mom was a jazz vocalist. And that's probably how he got his start, you know, playing the violin. So how did you find a love for the violin at such a young age?
So I tell people this all the time. Originally, it was an outlet away from class. So when I originally got introduced to the instrument, there was a guy by the name of Mr. Fleming, and he came to my elementary school to do like a recruitment program for what was called a pull-out program. I think that's still the terminology that they use. And basically, a pull-out program is when an arts teacher, whether it's music or visual art, comes to your school and they essentially pull you out of class for like 30 to 45 minutes, a couple of days a week. And it was originally a way to get out of class because the teacher, my homeroom teacher, like a lot of us didn't really like vibe with her. So we were like, oh, we get to get out of class like 2, maybe 3 times a week for 30 minutes. And this is not our recess. Okay, cool. So, I'm gonna try to adjust this right quick.
Okay.
So, I'm like, I have it kind of rigged up. So, all right, cool. That's better. So as I, went through this process of the pull-out program, I started to kind of develop a real passion for it. I was like, I think I could, do something with this. And as time went along, a lot of my friends were like, this is too hard. Like, this is not really cool. This isn't what we thought it was going to be. So a lot of people started to like drop out of the program. And as that happened, being young, you're influenced by your peers. So a lot of my peers, the cool kids, say, oh, this isn't cool. So everybody else is like, this isn't cool. And then, I started getting picked on for it. So eventually, as I transitioned to middle school, I played my 6th grade year. and I had a different teacher that first year of middle school, and I found that it was a different environment. Like it was a lot more. How can I say? It was next level, but also the trade off was my teacher, the teacher that I had, she didn't really connect with us on like a teacher, teacher student level or person to person level. Like she was very how can I say she was very like she was very strict, but then also she didn't really know how to connect with us on a person to person level. You know, if we went up in the music, she would get frustrated, or like if we were talking, like instead of like saying, "All right, what's going on, y'all?" Like she would just yell at us, and that's what like really turned me off. Like it was more the experience of having a teacher who didn't know how to connect with us that like really turned me off from it. But to fast forward, I played the trumpet for a couple of years, and then I got into playing football and sports, and I was like, all right, maybe I'm gonna do sports. That didn't work out, obviously. So, so my freshman year of high school, I met Michael Ward's son. Shout out to Sean Ward. He's a contemporary violinist as well. I met Sean, and we connected, and we had like I think 2 or 3 classes together freshman year. And he told me he told me he played the violin, and I was like, oh, I used to play the violin coming up, in elementary school. He was like, well, I can introduce you to my orchestra director, Mr. Christopher Frazier, and let him know that you used to play, and see if it's something that you could possibly get back into sophomore year. So he introduced me to Mr. Frazier, and that went really well. Like he's like Mr. Frazier's a joker. Like I still talk to him to this day. He became not only was he my teacher, but he became a mentor and a lifelong friend of mine as well. So he introduced me to Mr. Frazier. He was like, "Hey, sign up for my class, for sophomore year." And so I did that. Sophomore year comes, and Mr. Ward, Sean's dad, put out his at the time his latest CD, and Sean brought it to school to let the class listen to. So after he let us listen to it, I was like, "Hey, you mind if I take that CD and listen to it for a couple of days?" So a couple of days turned into a couple of weeks, and then a couple of weeks turned into a couple of months. And he was like, "I need that CD back." So I eventually gave him the CD back. But I was just so inspired and so intrigued by what Mr. Ward was doing, because these were songs like, it's contemporary jazz. So these were songs that I was familiar with, and like had a featured vocalist on there on the record that I was familiar with. And it just stimulated my interest that much more, because, even though I started out playing classical music, this was something that I could relate to. It was something wasn't that far removed from, the time period that I was growing up. So that's how my passion originally developed for it.
Wow. And it's just amazing how you actually met Mr. Ward and was able to, connect with him. And you said you fell off of playing the violin and you came back to it, and look at where it has gotten you. It has taken you so far in life. And you actually attended NOCA, which is New Orleans Center of Creative Arts. And you received a full scholarship in jazz studies to the University of New Orleans. And you graduated with a degree in music education in 2012. And a lot of us believe that right after college, we're guaranteed a job. We're going to get this job. We're going to get this money. We're going to make this happen. But for a lot of us, that's not always the case. For some people, yes, but a lot of us, no. And for you went 7 months without a full-time job, and you were trying to make ends meet. And what stood out to me most about your story, because I went and read under all your pictures, I did my research, and what stood out to me most was the fact that you would go downtown in the streets of New Orleans and play your violin. You used what you had, you went for what you knew, and you did that to make money. And anybody from New Orleans knows that that's not easy. It's hot outside, one. A lot of people don't like the tip. They just stand there, they watch it, and they leave. And, so it's really you out there, not really struggling, but, trying to make ends meet.
Trying to make it,
Trying to make it happen, yes. And that is really passion, and that is dedication. And so looking back on the days when you would perform downtown on the streets of New Orleans, how has that taught you that consistency and hard work pays off?
So during that time period, it's right after college, and I was, I think everybody that goes to, I guess, quote unquote higher education after high school, they kind of go through that transitional period once they finish whatever degree program or trade school, of trying to figure out what it is, what's the next step. I had an idea of like what was going to happen for me. Like I said earlier, like I went to these job fairs and was applying for jobs, and everybody else in the education program was, getting placements in different parishes and different subject matter as well. And, I'm still like trying to figure it out. So, for me, that time period, I think for me, it was really good because it gave me an opportunity to like really figure out what it was I wanted to do. And like you said, you did your research, but I'm gonna say it for the viewers. In that 7 month time period, like I was still trying to find a job, but then I also, I was playing on the street. I was doing weddings. I was doing open mics. From UNO to Dillard to Delgado to Xavier. I was just trying to like, and different events going on around town as well, as far as open mics are concerned. Like I was just trying to like get out there and do it and figure it out. And as I did more events, and I did more shows, that's when things kind of really started to move, and people were like really kind of getting familiar with my name as far as like quote unquote T-rated violinist. And what it taught me was that, nothing happens overnight. And in hindsight 2020, like that's what I'm seeing now. It's like nothing happens overnight. I can have a timeline for my life, but God has a different plan. The universe has a different plan, and things may not transpire and things may not, develop as soon as I want them to. But what I've learned, I've had, the last couple of years, I've had some really, really, really good opportunities and great experiences as a performer. And if I was to get those opportunities, back in 2012, 2013, 2014, even 2015, I wouldn't have been ready for them. I wouldn't have been ready for them skill wise. I wouldn't have been ready for them professionally. I wouldn't have been ready for them mentally. So everything like really does happen in this due time, and I'm appreciative that it happened the way that it did.
Yes.
So yeah, and it was hot on the streets.
Yes, yes.
It was hot.
And like you said, everything does happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And in 2000, no, you actually ended up landing a teaching job, and you worked a year and a half at the school. And you realized that juggling teaching and performing, because like you said, you was getting your name out there, and it became too much of a hassle for you. And in 2014, you made the decision to become a full-time artist.
Yeah.
So that has to be scary, not knowing, not just the unknown. So what was your mindset when you decided to become a full-time artist to make your dreams your reality?
So I went through this process. I went through this time period. It was early. I'm gonna say it was early spring. I guess around February. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Red Bull Music Academy. Are you familiar? Okay. So Red Bull Music Academy is this thing that happens every year. And Red Bull basically pulls together, I think it's 60 or 70 artists worldwide. And it's a 2-week intensive where, all these different workshops happen. They have guest speakers. They have studio sessions where all these artists collaborate and write songs and, experience the culture of whatever country or city is supposed to be in, because it's like worldwide. Like they could be in LA one year and then, in Australia the next year. So for this particular year, it was going to be in the fall of 2014, and it was going to be in Tokyo, Japan. So I applied. It was like this 20-page application that I had to fill out. And I was like, okay, if I get into the Red Bull Music Academy, I'm not going to be able to miss 2 weeks worth of, teaching. Like I have time that I can take off, but 2 weeks is a long time to like leave all of my students. I had 100+ students that I was teaching. So it's a long time to like leave them in the hands of somebody else to, help them continue progressing. So after I filled out the application, I made a decision. I was like, okay, if I get into this, like, I'm probably gonna have to like leave my job because they're gonna be looking at me crazy, like, you're leaving for 2 weeks to go to Tokyo to do this thing. And it's like, okay, what is that? I think the question would have been, how is this transcending, and what's the word I want to use? How is this going to be able to be used back in the classroom, on the educational side? So that was the first thing. And then at the time, I had played with Tank and the Bangers for a couple of their shows. I did a show with them at Tipitina's. I did a Christmas show with them at Tipitina's, the December that had just passed. And then there was a couple other things. Oh, it was an intimate show that they did in the Bywater area of New Orleans. And I opened for them with that show. So I got a call from their MD, and he was like, we're doing French Quarter Fest. So French Quarter Fest happens to land right in the middle of spring testing. And even though I was an itinerant teacher who was teaching at 6 different schools, it's required for the itinerant teachers to be at the base school during the testing period, because if a teacher calls out or a teacher gets sick, then I have to be the person to come in and, administer the test. So I didn't ask the question up ahead, what date they had, for French Quarter Fest, because the festival is like 3 or 4 days now, I believe. I think it's 4 now. So it came up to like, I think it was like 3 weeks before the show, and I finally was like, oh, I didn't ask the date of the show. So I hit them up. I was like, yo, what's the, what day and time are we playing the show? So sure enough, it was early in the day, and I think it was like on the first or second day of French Quarter Fest, and I had to pull out of that performance. And it was like, at that point, I was doing, I was consistently like doing weddings. I was doing, a couple of corporate events, private parties. Like I was doing, a decent amount of work for my schedule at the time, even though I was still, a full-time teacher. But after I had to turn down that particular opportunity, I had a moment of clarity. I was like, man, like I'm having to like really make some hard decisions about some of the things that I'm doing. Even I did Villa Spring Fest opening for Wale, and even though that was a nighttime show, it's like I'm having these opportunities that are coming up, and I'm having to like turn a lot of them down because of my job, and it's like I can't just like not be at work. So not only do I have a responsibility to the school system, I have a responsibility to these 100+ kids that I'm teaching, on a weekly basis. So it was going through that process of like figuring out like, okay, is it time for me to like really make a hard decision? I felt like I was at a fork in the road. I can either go this way, teach for 25 years and look back and say, what if? Or I can say, I'm still early in this teaching career. Let me take the leap of faith and, see if this is actually going to work out for me. And, obviously I decided to take the leap, and, it's been a great ride ever since. But I did go through that period, the transitional period of, contemplating leaving my job. Then once I made the decision to leave my job, going through the emotional period of, basically breaking the news to my administration, all of my students. And I had, a lot of tears at one point. Like the last day of school was like, it was rough. It was rough. Like my kids were coming in the classroom, like giving me cards and, hugging me and crying. And I had to leave my classroom and like go to another building to one of my coworkers' room. And like, I just had to let it out because I was like, this is rough. Like it was hard because it was like, I had such an impact on them, and it was like, they let me know that, their parents let me know that, the teachers, let me know that. It's like, man, like you are like really having a great impact on them. Like I haven't seen my child like progress the way they have, the way they have under your wing, you know, and
Yes.
it was dealing with that. It was dealing with being having to like disconnect from them, and then having to deal with the fact that like I knew I had to make the decision that was going to be best for my life. So that was those were the 2 periods I went through, and then after it was said and done, it was like, all right, now what's next? Because I didn't really have a plan out the gate. It was kind of like, all right, let me make sure I have enough money saved up from my job to be able to
Hmm.
support myself for at least 6 months, and then right now it's like, okay, I need to be doing just about every performance that comes my way so that people can like get familiar with my name. And the best promotion is word of mouth.
Yes.
You can sponsor a post all day on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, spend however many hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, but it's not guaranteed that, people are going to really resonate with what you're doing.
Hmm.
People are going to resonate more with, you know, word of mouth or seeing you actually performing.
Yes.
But yeah, I went through that. It was a rough period. It was
Yes.
a rough period. Like May, I think my last day was May 24th.
Hmm.
Like from that period on to like August, I kind of went through this buffer period where it's like I was doing performances, but I still had the direct deposit coming from the school system
Yes.
until the end of July. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm good. I can chill, and yeah, that
Hmm.
was that wasn't a good decision.
Hmm. But I like how
Yeah,
you said you had to do what was best for you, even though you were having a big impact on the kids, which was an
hmm,
awesome thing. It was an even bigger impact for you, in my opinion, for you to do what you really love, even though you love teaching, but your
hmm,
passion was to get, to perform. And
yeah,
if I was a student and my teacher did that, I would be sad. But then growing up and looking back on it, I'll be like, wow, my teacher had the confidence to do that.
yeah,
Okay, let me step, follow their footsteps. So
right,
what you did was really, really good as well.
yeah,
And for a lot of people, it's scary to just drop everything and go off on that ledge, to just do what they really love.
yeah.
And it's because we're in a comfort zone. And a lot of times we're scared to leave that comfort zone. So what is some advice that you could offer someone wanting to follow his or her dreams but are afraid of the unknown?
So I would say do one of the things that I didn't do, which was have at least a 4 to 6 month plan. Take some time and reflect and meditate and think about what it is, you want to accomplish once you leave your job. Think about what your ultimate goal is, but also think about it, on a micro scale. Like don't try to, see yourself 5 years out, like visualize it, but take the time to like think about the middle, like from start to finish, like think about the middle part because that's what's really going to dictate if you are able to make it to that destination at the end of that 5 years. Have a plan. Make sure you have, enough money, to cover your expenses for, like I said, 4 to 6 months because you may, you may get into a dry period, and I've had those dry periods where it's like you might get 1 or 2 calls, for that 1 month, or you might only get, 3 or 4 calls over the span of 2 months because
Mm-hmm.
people just don't know about you or what your the business or service that you're offering, or it just may be that time of year for your particular craft or service that things are really slow. Like things get slow around New Orleans, you know, around summertime because it's hot and tourism is down. So people are not really coming into the city or having outside events or what so have you. So I would say, make sure you have a plan. See the long term, but have a short term plan.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have 4 to 6 months worth of financial backing saved up.
Yes.
And then the next thing is like really, really being flexible about the plan that you have because, like I said earlier, things are not going to happen as fast as you think they might happen, or you might want them to happen. Like I said, in 2019, I said 2017, I was gonna be done doing weddings, right? And I said that because it was like, I felt like in the grand scheme of things, with where I'm trying to go, it's like, weddings are great, I enjoy being able to, you know, um, provide service for a couple, but I was in my head, I was like, man, like I can't keep doing the same thing. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result, as you say, but I had to take a step back and was like, this is an opportunity. This is a blessing. This couple, wants me to be a part of this special day. And, it's not only for that particular thing, but it's continuing to, fuel the machine, for lack of a better term, of being able to consistently perform. Um, and I mean, it's 2019. I'm still doing weddings, and I'm enjoying it. I've had the opportunity to travel the last couple of months to Columbus. I was in Asheville, North Carolina, a couple of weeks ago. Did my first Indian wedding, so it's providing opportunities for me to be able to travel, and that's a blessing. So
yes, and speaking of weddings, like you said, you just did your first Indian wedding, and it was at the Biltmore Estate, and that is actually the largest privately owned estate in America. That is amazing. And when I think of a violinist, I automatically think of classical music.
Right.
But you have taken a violin and took it outside of the stereotypical area, and you actually play R&B, hip hop, jazz, funk, and classical. So have you So how have you being a professional multi-genre violinist successfully helped you in your career?
So I believe most of all, it's helped with versatility. Having versatility is very important. Being able to adapt to different environments, different clientele, different ethnicities, different age groups. And that's what I feel like has been one of the biggest things that has helped me in my career thus far, is like, I can play, Migos and Drake, or I can go and play, a Miles Davis tune, or I can play a Maroon 5 song, so I can read my audience, I can read my crowd, and think about not make a preconceived notion about what they're gonna like, but I can get a pretty good idea of energy, and an idea of what they're gonna want to hear. Because I've had clients, that say, "Oh, I really enjoyed that song that you played. Make sure you play that song during your set. Like, you can play whatever else you want to, but make sure you play this like one song."
Yes, yes.
That's happened a lot of times, So I think that that's what's been my biggest, one of my biggest assets, is being able to play different stylings of music, and being able to cater to the crowd that I'm playing for. Like, if it's a private event, like I get an idea of what they want ahead of time. And the good thing about it is, most times they've seen me, they've previously seen me perform. So they have a really good idea about what I'm going to bring to the table. And I think that that's been one of my biggest assets and attributes, as a multi-genre violinist. So, because people can give me the label of, oh, I'm a hip hop violinist. And when I was in college, like, I had a MySpace page, and it was what is it? T-Ray the violinist, T-Ray the hip hop violinist, and then I had another page that said like T-Ray the hip hop violinist movement, or something like that. And this was right around the time, or right after the time, that Mary Ben Ari, had just done Apollo, because everybody knows who Mary Ben Ari is, whether it was from Twister's, what was the name of that song? Overnight Celebrity, or if it was, with Kanye or John Legend, because she was in that whole like Rockefeller Good Music, circuit, and on all of their records. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a hip hop violinist. But then as time went along, my musical palette expanded, and then also I was like, I think that this is maybe, putting me in a box, and people think this is all I do, and that's going to limit me, in the type of work I can get. It's also going to limit people's viewpoint of what the violin can do outside of like classical, where they think, okay, it's either classical or hip hop. There's no in between, and that's not the case, So, so that's why I decided to go with just T-rate a violinist, and then when people ask me, I'm like, oh, I'm a multi-genre violinist because it spans more than just classical, hip hop, or jazz. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And when I watch your videos, like on Instagram, it just amazes me how, like you said, you can play all these different genres of music. And
Mhm.
instantly, when you start playing, I instantly know the songs. And that's really
Yeah.
important, because sometimes when people play,
Right.
it's like, okay, so what song they playing? But when you instantly start, I'm like, okay, this is what he playing. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And honestly, I don't know a lot of Black violinists. Honestly, a
Mhm.
lot of Black male violinists. So
Yeah.
how does it make you feel knowing that you are a Black professional multi-genre violinist?
So I used to look at it like, okay, I'm a unicorn, I guess. But as I continue to progress, like, how can I say? Sometimes when people tell me that, I try not to look at it as a race thing. Like, I embrace my blackness, like, unapologetically. But like, in this context, like how we having this conversation, like, it's cool, but like we it's setting the stage for us to have a dialogue about it. But like sometimes I'll be at a performance and another Black man will tell me, man, you dope, like you a Black violinist, bro, like, man, like, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I've been Black for 31 years. I played the violin for almost 20 of those 30 years, and I'm like, I'm fully aware of that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to like think because, okay, I'm a Black violinist, like, I'm any different from an Asian violinist or a white violinist or a Hispanic violinist, because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like, listen, the instrument looks the same. We may look different, but the instrument is the same.
Yes.
And I think that I think that in the grand scheme, like, it's a great thing because it's showing somebody that was my age and had first picked somebody who is my age when they first pick up the violin, that somebody that looks like me can do it, because I didn't have that example until I came across Mr. Ward and
Mm-hmm.
through me, Sean. So even though the people, my class was majority Black, like, there wasn't like a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James,
Mm-hmm.
like, kids know who Michael Jordan is, but they really know who LeBron James is in this current day and time. So it's like, I think that's the upper hand. Like, I definitely am aware, like,
Mm-hmm.
in some environments, I'm looked at as I'm gonna use the term unicorn because that's what I use it for.
Mm-hmm.
In some environments, I'm looked at as a unicorn. In some environments, I'm looked at like, oh, he must be a DJ, because that's before they see me with my violin. Um, so it has its ups and downs, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And people can definitely like label and have a stereotype and a preconceived notion about what it is that I'm about to do, what it is
Mm-hmm.
that I play. So, and I feel good about being able to prove them wrong. Not that that's my, not that's my agenda, but I feel good being able to show them a different light.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. And in 2014, you curated your first tour, which was the Make a Way tour. So,
hmm
would you in detail explain to my viewers and me the experience of curating your first tour, the Make a Way tour, and how has that opened doors for you?
Yeah. So when I did that first tour, it was literally it was a it was an idea I had just to, like, all right, I know people in excuse me, I know people in these certain cities. Let me reach out and see if I can make something happen, because at the end of the day, like, I knew that I needed to be like on the road. I needed to be out performing, to expand uh the number of eyes and ears that have heard and seen me play, to continue, like, to build that foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of, to be honest, it was kind of easy because it was just a matter of me, like, reaching out to people that I knew in my hometown of Baton Rouge, people I knew in Houston, Atlanta. Shout out to Lou from Watersea. He linked me up with people in Atlanta, and I was able to connect with them, and I have a relationship with them now to this day because he was able to make that connection for me. And yeah, a lot of the stuff, wasn't paid. Like I was still in a situation where it's like I was using the money from teaching to like, get things, initially started. So it was really cool. Like extending the spec, it went from, I think I did June to August, maybe early September. I did Atlanta Greek Fest. What else? I did a couple shows opening for Currency. I did a show, yeah, opening for him in Baton Rouge and a show in Lafayette. Um, so it was pretty cool. Like it was a different experience. Like just getting that experience of like being on the road and being in different markets, and because every market, every city is totally different.
Yeah.
People are like, this is the hot song. You should play the song. But if you don't play the song, like they're gonna think you whack. But being a violinist is like it's different from being like a DJ or I guess a rapper, as well. So
Yes. So where do you envision your violin taking you?
So I envision my violin taking me around the world. I aspire to be um, I aspire to be a supporting act for, a bigger name artist, starting out. And then I also want to have the experience of like being in a touring band as well, like getting the experience of like seeing the ins and outs of, you know, being in rehearsal, being on tour with with a big time artist and, playing the part of a string player. Um, I don't want to say in the capacity of just like a string section, but like being like almost like a lead guitar, a keyboard would be like they have an essential part and they are an essential piece of the whole band itself. And I just finished working on my debut EP back in June. It's entitled Visionary. Uh, so I look forward to being able to tour for my own project and like yeah, I just want to be on the road and take care of business.
Yes, I understand. Yes. So how could someone interested in booking you get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you can find me at trateviolence.com. I was about to say www, but that speaks for itself. You can find me online at trateviolence.com. I'm also on Instagram at T_rated_violinist. Facebook is T_rated_violinist. But if you want to book me, definitely go to my site, trateviolence.com. That's where everything goes through. It's a streamlined system, so that's where they can go.
Yeah, that's where y'all go, and I'll have all of that posted on my page so y'all will know. And my philosophy is be bold, be beautiful, be you. I literally say this all day. I encourage it to everyone. I have it written everywhere, and it's just something that I live on and stand by. So what is the philosophy that you live on and stand by?
Work hard, and the rest is going to come in its time. That's it.
That's it. And that's so true. That is so true. Yes. And my cousin who is actually watching this, she actually played the violin in high school. Deanna, I see you. I just wanted to shout you out. And I also have another little cousin named Anna who plays the violin. So they were really excited about this love talk. So I just wanted to let you know that. And at this point, I'm just gonna open up the floor to you to say whatever is on your heart.
All right. But first, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate you using your platform for positivity, and just like spreading love. Once again, it's called Love Talk, so it's all about good energy. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for everybody that's watching. I'm a man of few words. I like to just get the grind and make it happen. So for anybody that's out there watching, I want to make sure y'all stay inspired and make sure you keep pushing forward. Like every day is not going to be good. Every day is not going to be bad. There's peaks and valleys, but you have to embrace every step of this journey. And that's something that I'm continuing to learn and continuing to embrace every day. So,
yes. Yes. So I just want to thank you so much for being a guest here. Like I said, I just love having guests on here to spread light because we just possess so much. And I just want the world to know that everything is not bad. There's a lot of love and positivity in the world. So so that's why this platform is here. So I just want to encourage you to just keep going. Everything is going to happen, like you said, when it's supposed to happen. And it's going to just be great. And I just am so happy that I ran across your page. And I'm hoping to meet you in person one day, come to a concert. And I know I'm going to see you on the big screen, touring, like you said. you gonna post those tour dates, and I'm gonna make
Yeah.
sure that I catch one in Houston, because that's where I live now, in Houston.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So
Cool,
I want to
cool.
thank the viewers for watching. Y'all make sure that y'all book T-Ray if you want T-Ray booked. All the information will be posted on my page. Y'all have a great night. Remember to be bold, be beautiful, be you, and y'all just have a great night.
Yeah. So, last thing, for anybody that's in New Orleans, I did just start a weekly residency at the Get Down Lounge, which is at 3036 St. Claude. I'm there every Wednesday from about 8:30 to 10:30. It's called Heartstrings, an evening of eclectic vibes. So it's something for everybody. No cover, so definitely make sure y'all come out. It's owned by a band, Water Seed. It's Black owned. So make sure y'all come out and support.
Yes, and I'll post that as well too. Send me, if they have a flyer, send it to me. If they don't, I'm
Yeah,
gonna still
send it
post
to me.
it. Y'all
Cool.
make sure y'all check that out, and y'all have a good night. Thank you.
All right.
Good
Peace.
night.